Hi guys, welcome to my first Let's Chat video. So basically, the idea, I would like to be able to make reviews eventually, but I don't have the facilities right now to be able to do in the format that I would like. So for now, I'm just making a video called Let's Chat, where I'm just basically going to discuss things that I didn't go over during the game. And my first one is going to be Detroit Become Human. I had so much to say about this game. Like, obviously I spent most of the final episode talking, like throughout the credits and after the credits, but I still somehow had more. So first of all, spoilers, spoiler alert, okay? If you haven't watched, like, there's going to be spoilers for my playthrough, there's going to be just spoilers for the game in general, and there's also going to be spoilers for alternate endings, because I've got something I want to talk about with that. So just be aware about that, okay? Because I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it. You should experience it for yourself, whether it's watching a playthrough or whether it's playing through it yourself. Like, just experience the story first. And then, like, for me, I'm happy to hear about other endings once I've had my own ending, if that makes sense. So that's how I see things. But if you don't want other endings spoiled, go and play through it again or whatever. Like, go and watch a video of other endings, because I'll talk about that a bit later. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to talk about the story. Like, not the story, the world that they've created. Like, so basically, as I was playing, I wasn't, like, registering the dates that they were saying, and the game was actually set in 2038, I think, which is, like, only 20 years from now. Like, I knew that it was set a bit in the future, but I didn't realise it was in such the near future. And basically, at first I thought, well, that's a bit stupid, like, technology's, like, never gonna get there, basically, in my head. But then, like, the more I thought about it, right, when I was growing up, like, I remember when I was at school and the first iPhone came out, and I was like, why would anyone want that? Like, I just didn't understand it. It just, I don't know, I thought it was stupid. I was dead set against touchscreen phones, and I was dead set against iPhones. I just thought, I just couldn't understand it. And then, like, how many years later? Well, we're on the iPhone, what, 8 now? So, like, 8 years later or something? Look at where we are now. Like, we have, like, HD cameras in our phones. We can do everything for them. Well, from them, I mean. Like, it is just crazy the way that within the last 10 years how technology is advanced. Like, back then you would never have imagined how things are now, and I just feel like that's a 20 years later. Like, right now, what have we got? We've got, like, Google Home and Alexa and all that. Like, that's like the first stages of Android, don't you think? Like, Google Home, well, I don't know exactly what it is, but don't you, like, basically talk to it and it, like, it'll tell you things and it'll control your house? Like, say if you had a posh house and you could attach it to your heating or something, and then you could tell it to, like, turn up the heating. Is that what it does? I think that's what it does. And it's like, it's the very start of Android, don't you think? Like, they're trying to create this AI, and then all that's happened in Detroit is they've given it a body to make it into, like, a human type of, like, maid, like housemaid, or, well, all different types, workers, physical workers as well, like people that can get jobs done. And, like, I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. But the part, I mean, that maybe is the actual AI becoming aware and stuff. But that leads me on to my second thing that I wanted to talk about. Was there's a discussion between, like, I guess anyone that's played this game as to whether are they human, like, can they feel, kind of thing. Like, they're robots, so can they really feel? And to me, I immediately was like, yes, they can. Like, and I didn't know why. I didn't have to think about it too much. And, like, the more I think about it, is if they think that they can feel, right, then that means they can feel. because it's exactly the same as any one of us. Like something that really upsets me might not upset anyone else, but just because they don't feel upset, that doesn't mean that I'm not feeling upset. Does that make sense? And it made me think all these thoughts about, it can go as far as other people, and then it can go as far as like animals. Like, a lot of people in the world do not give animals any credit, but they are conscious beings, and maybe they don't think in words the way that we do, but they can. Alright, I studied animal care at college, and they always told us not to humanise the animals and give them emotions, which honestly, after actually working with animals, is bullshit. They do feel emotions. They can feel joy, they can feel fear, and they can feel pain, and they feel contentment. And just because someone that doesn't know animals may not think that they can feel things and therefore they're irrelevant or whatever, doesn't mean they actually don't. You get to know any animal, get to know a dog, get to know anything, a rabbit. They all have their own character, and these androids are like, it's the same thing. Like, you can go as far to say as any other being. Like, well, yeah, it's like, where do you draw the line? And the fact that these androids think that they're feeling within their self that they are scared to die, right? Which means they are scared to die. You see, like, I really don't know how to get this point across in words, but I thought about it so much, and like, that's the way that I see it. If something is feeling something, then that feeling is legitimate. That's the only way it is. But I know that some people don't agree with that. But to me, that's the only way that it is, right? Like, how, I don't know how anyone could see it any other way. But that's like just some philosophical shit that was going through my head. And that's what I really liked about the game, is how it could really make you think about different things like this. So now I want to move on to the androids themselves. Right, not just the androids, the people. The whole war, the whole like conflict that happened, right? It was all the humans' fault. We created like these androids, and we did use them as slaves, right? Well, I mean, I know it's not real, but I'm talking as if it's real here because I'm talking about the story. But I know I sound like I'm actually talking about it as if it's real. But just pretend it is, right? We created these androids, and then we just like use them for anything and everything. People just treat them like shit, literally. And they never expected them to stand up. And it's like, if we had treated them well the whole time, then they would never have had to have stood up, and they would have just, they would have just continued being slaves all their lives, from their point of view. But from our point of view, like, this whole thing would never have happened if we just treated them alright. They would never have needed to have revolted. So I just think it's an interesting thing. I think we brought it on ourselves, and like through it, depending on which ending you went for, there was a lot of suffering involved, and I guess that's just what we do. Okay, I don't want to get too deep, so I'll leave that one there. Another thing about the whole world that they built, right, is this thing I noticed about not just Quantic Dream, like a lot of stories is like, this is a depressing world, isn't it, right? Same as a lot of films or games or TV shows that you see. So why do they always make me want to be a part of the world? Like, I really kind of want to be an android. Like, they can do all sorts of shit that we can't, and they're so clever, and they've got abilities, and their bodies are so much less fragile than ours. They can be repaired, and I love it when a story can do that and make you feel sucked into the world so much that you wish that you were a part of it. And I really got that from this game. Just so good. So we've talked about the story and the world building and stuff. Now let's talk about the specific stories. So just as far as my favourite character goes, I find it really difficult to say. Like, I don't think I can say a specific certain character, but I broke it down, basically. I had my favourite. Marcus was my favourite at the beginning. I loved his story with Carl, and I just thought it was so nice. And I think he had the strongest first act for me. Was, you know, he was with Carl. He was looking after him, which is what I'd imagined just before it even happened. It was like, that would be such a good use of androids. And, you know, if everyone could have their own personal carer, the people that actually need it. And I just loved the whole start of his story. And then up to the part where you know, he's reborn. I thought that scene was like so cool. It's a bit spooky, but it wasn't too bad. I managed it. It was supposed to be spooky because like it was horrifying. Like it was just a mass graveyard. Like, imagine that if that was people, man. Imagine how traumatized you would be if you went into like a pit full of half dead people. Like, that's exactly what he had to go through. Anyhow, that was my favourite like first act. Now then I think that Connor had my favourite middle, like, and by that I mean his relationship with Hank. Like, that was just my favourite. I think in real life me and Hank would be best buds. Like, I got Hank so well. Like, reading discussions, a lot of people just say that they just didn't get Hank and that everything they did they couldn't do anything right, but Hank just, I thought it was so cool. Like, we were with mates for sure. And just seeing that type of person get to grow to love Connor, and Connor, you know, making his mistakes but growing his approval, I enjoyed that very much. And then also like Connor's journey from android to just sort of little things kept happening. I was so pleased, like, with all of the choices that I made, really, for Connor, because just subtly something kept happening each time, and it really justified his deviating later on. So he had my favourite, like, middle, and he was a great character, to be fair. And then Cara, to me, had my favourite ending. And I'm not just really talking about the ending that I got, because I got a shitty ending. But if you see the other ending she got, there was so much variety. And her ending wasn't about the revolution or about... what's the opposite? What did we get? Like, the protests, whatever. Her ending was just about her and her little family, and she more being kind of an innocent civilian in amongst the revolution. And I thought that was a very good, I think it's good actually that they didn't bring all three characters into the very same story at the end, because that may have been like too convoluted, or whatever the word is. I think that's the word. So I was just super happy with Cara's ending. I'm going to move on to talk a bit about that in a bit, because I went back and got a different ending. So that's kind of, I really can't say a certain person that's my favourite, but I think they all had the standout moments, and mine, like, I think like throughout the whole game, one of my favourite things was Marcus deviating. I loved his deviating scene. Like, it was, I just loved it, how he was like, it was coming up with what he was thinking in his head, where it was saying, it would usually be his orders, wouldn't it? But it was actually saying, this is not fair. And I was like, oh. And like I got so into the mood that I ended up pushing Leo, and which actually turned out to be a very good decision. Because right, yeah, I'm gonna move on to like alternate decisions now. So basically, if I hadn't have pushed Leo, Carl would have died, because what happened? I think Leo doesn't leave us alone. Carl's shouting at him to leave us alone, and then Carl has a heart attack and dies. It's tragic. Like, I would have been devastated. Like, and and there was, when we went back to Carl's house, there was an answering machine message, and I didn't play it, did I? And it was from Leo, because I thought that it was like Carl saving the final message from his son, kind of thing. But it wasn't. It was a new message from hospital saying that he was getting his life together. Like, what? Like, I just thought he was dead, but no, he survived. Like, it was a bit stupid in a way, because like he was laid there. I hate it when they do a false death and someone's laid there with their eyes open, looking dead, and they're not dead. Like, I don't like that. He should have just had his eyes closed. It would have changed everything. But he wasn't dead. He survived. So really, that was such a good decision. It's quite funny because most people that I've watched, like on alternative, other people playing it, chose just to endure it and to not push Leo, resulting in Carl dying. So I was really pleased with that decision, actually. But that scene, I loved it. The whole impact that it had, from like Marcus being unable to defend himself, saying this isn't fair, and like breaking through it, to then suddenly like Leo just getting killed, quotation mark, killed. And I just thought that scene had a very good impact. And I mean, obviously there was tons of other scenes that I love, but that's the one, like weeks later, that I'm still remembering. So made an impact. So what I did, right, I'm going to talk about other endings now, because once I finished, I should have recorded it really. I went back to Crossroads, which was the third off last chapter, which was the chapter where they all came together in Jericho, and I just made some different decisions. Actually, I was trophy hunting. I was like going for other trophies. So I got the decisions I made. I got Connor not to deviate. He killed Marcus. That was all the decisions on that chapter. Oh no, and then when Cara and Alice remember when they played dead, and there was like people firing guns and shit, instead of getting them to play dead, just surrender, and then they get taken to the recycling camp, which was probably the best scene in the whole game. It was horrible but brilliant. So first of all, I'll talk about the other side. So yeah, Connor didn't deviate. He killed Marcus in Jericho, which resulted in Jericho not getting blown up, but I don't think that made a lot of difference. So what happened then was North took over the Jericho people and decided to launch an assault. Instead of doing the peaceful protest, she just went for it. But they didn't really have enough people, and they all got killed. Like, all of them. And then, so Connor had a scene with Hank on a rooftop. He was gonna snipe North because his mission was still to kill the leader of Jericho, and North had become the leader, so he was just about to snipe her. Hank came up to stop us, and then we had a bit of a fight with Hank, and we killed him. It was horrible, actually. I was like against all of my instincts. And then we didn't kill North at that point because our sniper rifle got broke. So then eventually, after everyone else had died, we found North and just executed her. Which I didn't mind too much because, she wasn't my favourite. So I mean, that was a pretty bad ending for androids. Oh, so after that, I forgot about this. After the ending, Connor got to meet with Amanda again, and basically he was told he was getting what was it called, like deconstructed. He was getting shut down, and they'd made a new model called the RK900, and it's a shiny new Connor wearing a more white suit, and the army or the police or someone had ordered like 200,000 units of this RK900, and our Connor was getting shut down. So basically every android got killed and well, I mean, I guess that the human trust came back again, and they all got replaced by shitloads of Connors. So it was a bizarre ending. It was like very good actually. And then for Cara's ending, so we went to the recycling camp, which was just basically a death camp, like a World War II death camp. Like literally, it was. I read an argument about this, and someone was saying basically, people are getting upset about androids doing this when this happened to real people, and like bitching about it. And I thought, do you not think that's the point though? Like, it's really difficult to imagine what happened, and having it there in front of us with these characters that we have grown a bond with, there is no other way that is going to connect us with history. Like, I find it very easy to forget that these are androids and to imagine that these are people, like innocent people back then, that this is happening to. And that's the point. Like, it's not using the emotion of the history to make a story. It is helping you to connect with history. Or that's how I see it. Like, I went to Berlin and I went to Sachsenhausen concentration camp, and the vibes that, I mean, it wasn't a death camp, it was a concentration camp, but it was like half a death camp due to some things that happened anyway. But it was just being there was like harrowing, and it was very disturbing, but it was also a feeling that like I was so pleased I went. And like, I feel like everyone should go to one of these places to learn the history and to feel in touch with it. And I feel like this game has actually done a very good service of allowing people into this time and what happened. And it's like I say, it's so easy to just forget that they're androids and think about what actually happened, because what happened in that scene actually did happen in real life, and that makes it so much more emotional. So right, what happened? I haven't even told you what happened. So basically, like, Alice and Cara were going into this death camp. As they go in, they have to take all the clothes off, and they even have to remove the skin, so they're all just white, and they all just like kind of get ushered along, and they all just in a line walking towards this, well, I don't know because I didn't get to the end, but it's the recycling machine that disassembles them, I think. So basically, if you're looking around, you can find other androids that you've met. So we found Luther, we found Jerry, and we found some of the androids from Zlatko's house. And like, we used some of them as distractions so that we could escape. Like, that's just dreadful, isn't it? So we got out of the fence. Well, everyone else, well, Alice and Luther were out, Cara was nearly out, and then we got caught by guards. We had to choose, like, flee or protect Alice. And I mean, Alice was never my priority in my playthrough, so I was just like, flee. And we all just got gunned down and shot dead there and then. I was like, shit, fuck that one up. So it was like so sad though. The whole atmosphere of the whole thing, like, everyone should play that scene, I swear down. But that scene can play out in a lot of different ways as well. I think if you choose the revolution, if you choose to fight, then you can get to the camp before it's Cara and Alice's turn and rescue them. But I haven't seen that yet. And as Cara and Alice, you can also... Right, remember when I got the choice whether to go to the checkpoint or take the safe detour and we missed the bus? If you go through the checkpoint, I chose not to. This was my worst decision in the game. I chose not to because I still stand by it though, because I thought they had scanners, and if they just scanned us they would just see that we were androids and just shoot us down. But they didn't have scanners. Like, you could just get past them and then you can get on the bus and get to Canada, and we were like you know, free. And I was like, damn, if only I'd done that, I would have actually got the best ending in the game, I think. Oh, except Simon still died. So it's a shame. I made a bad choice there, but in the moment I wouldn't have changed it, you know what I mean? But on the boat, I don't think there is any way that you can all make it. I think you can get Cara and Alice across, but Luther always dies. And I was more concerned about Luther, to be honest, so it was never going to be a good ending for that. So that's like, I could keep going. The branches are amazing on this story. Like, I haven't even played the... I'm gonna call it the bad... It's not the bad ending, but the bad playthrough, the aggressive playthrough, you know what I mean? I haven't even played that yet, but I already know about all these other endings. Like, it's crazy. I can't wait to like get through it again and see. I'm gonna platinum it. That's my goal. I'm not gonna video any of it though. But I just think it's phenomenal. I'm so pleased so many people embraced the game, and like, I've never seen a single person say that your choices don't affect things, because they can't say that. And but everyone's so happy that it's not the illusion of choice, which a lot of games have. It's actual choice, and I'm just so pleased that it did well, because it means we're going to get more. Having said that, I hope we don't get a sequel. I don't see how they can do a sequel without completely invalidating half of the people's endings. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my ending, Luther and Alice died. Like, that's canon to me now. And Cara made it to Canada on her own. And it said on the flowchart, androids are safe for now, which I thought was quite cool. But other than that, that's my ending, and I don't see how they can make a sequel. If they made the sequel to my ending, that's good, but then that alienates everyone else who had different endings. So maybe a prequel, or some, a different countries or a different city, their experience with androids. But even so, I don't know, I like the world that they've made, and I think, I'm not sure that they need to do more with it. I don't know, I haven't decided on that yet. I mean, obviously I would play it for sure. Right, before I go, because I have been talking for like half an hour now. Oh, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to say about, like, I love Cara's music. I thought Cara's music is just beautiful. The graphics were great. It was just a great game, mostly well written. Joy to play, a joy to watch other people play. A joy to discuss. I'm really happy about it, and just thank you to Quantic Dream. Thank you to all of the actors who did a phenomenal job. Everyone, if you've got the game, you should go on and watch the extra videos in the special features, or whatever it's under. I think it's under extras actually, because they're just brilliant. Yeah, I'll let you go now, but just great game. Very, very good. Love it. and I'm gonna do these videos just when I feel it's necessary, I guess. Maybe I'll talk a bit less at the end of every series that I do and put it into a separate video like this. So until I can eventually start doing like the review style videos that I've got in mind, so which shouldn't be half an hour long, by the way. So if anyone watched, thank you. Have a chat with me in the comments, like about your opinions of the game and stuff. And see you next time. Bye.